Okay, I'm gonna just check how many. Okay, and we're gonna practice going, between all the three forms and graph. So technically, you should be able to go in between all of these by using algebra, right? Or by just looking at the graph. You should be able to go from the equation straight to the graph, from the graph straight back to this, and so forth, and everything in between. One thing that I want to, and the quiz, once I'm done marking the quiz, I've seen it already quite a bit. If the y-intercept, if the graph doesn't show an exact value for the y-intercept, do not use the slope-intercept form. Some of you were guessing that it was half, and you were actually right in that case, but it won't always be. So don't guess. Then when it's not going straight through an intersection at the y-axis, you have to use slope point form. Okay? You got to pick a point where it's going through that is exact, that goes through an intersection, and you write it in that form. Okay? That's the key there. That's why I made it be in between, because I wanted you to use the slope point form. Okay? And unlucky for me, I actually made it be 5.5. So a lot of you probably guessed 5.5. So yeah, just in the future, make sure you don't do that, because it wouldn't be right. Like I'll probably make sure it's not half or whatever, right? Okay, let's go here. Let's go straight from here to the graph first. Okay, we're gonna graph first, and then we're gonna do everything in between. So from here, obviously it's in slope-intercept form, A, because the title tells us so, but also you should be able to just look at it and determine that. From here, we get that our slope is 4/3 and that our y-intercept is -3. That is actually a point. It's 0, 3, right? When you, oh, sorry, -3. 0, -3. So you're able to extract information quickly. No change, no signs change when you take it out, nothing like that on the slope intercept, you just take it out. We know that by observation this is positive, so we know that we expect our line to go up from left to right. So just by observation, right? If you can like predict what's going to happen, less likelihood of you making a mistake. Okay, so 0, -3, that's where we start. You need a starting point right there, and then you use your slope to go further. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, rise and run. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and here I'm going to have to extrapolate and just say that it's right about there. But you could have gone backwards. If you went backwards, you still would have ended up going out of the grid, and that's fine. This is just to practice, right? Make sure your lines extend and you have arrowheads on both ends, and get used to writing the equation right next to it, right? Even though it's already here, just practice it, because on a graph, if I give you marks for it, I want it to be there, okay? And you will see on the, I use the iPad to actually count your boxes here. You will see markings. So that's how I quickly check if you got it right, okay? So that's that. Now we're supposed to also do fill out the rest. So here you choose what you want to do. Do you want to go from the graph and based on the graph write your equation? You can do that. You can also just rewrite this guy, right? Because technically it's asking for the slope and the point. You know that the slope is 4/3 and you want a point. You actually, you know a point here as well. This should technically also be called slope point. However, that point is always particularly the y-intercept. It's always 0, -3. So you can just borrow it if you want, right? It also gives you a point, and now you just have to write it in this form, right? So we go y minus y1, and this is negative, so it ends up being positive when you write it down here, the slope is there, and then it would be x minus 0, right? Because the x1 is just 0. And don't leave it like that, just clean it up. It's 4/3 x like that. That would be one way of doing it, okay? But Mr. Durson, couldn't I have picked this point right here as my, quote unquote point? Yes, absolutely. Any point on this grid, you could have used 1, 3 instead of 0, -3. Fine, no problem. It will look different. Your slope point form will be different. But no matter what we do, if we rewrite it to slope intercept, if we go from either one of these to here, it will always look like that. There's no variation. There is variation within the slope point, but if you rewrite it, regardless of what point you use, you end up with the same y-intercept because the y-intercept doesn't change on this line, right? It doesn't. It cannot change because it has to be -3. So regardless of which points you plug in, you should end up with this. General form, I'm going to use this one to help me out. Okay, so I'm just going to go y plus 3 is equal to 4/3 x. I'm going to bring this whole term over, or I think you're used to multiplying by 3, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 3. This whole thing by 3, and this whole thing. Make sure you put brackets when you do that to show that you're multiplying everything. And so it's 3 times y, 3 times 3, right? So that's 3y plus 9. And this cancels out here, so you end up with 4x on this side. Now we bring the 4x over to the left, and we want it up front. Everything else keeps its sign because it's not switching sides. Divide everything by -1. And you end up with 4x minus 3y minus 9 is equal to 0. Okay, so you went from here to here to here. Could you have gone straight from here, from the slope intercept, straight to general? Absolutely. So these are all connected, folks. Yeah, you can multiply by -1 instead of dividing. Absolutely. Yeah. If you don't like the dividing by -1, multiply both sides by -1. The only purpose of it is to change the signs of everything, basically, right? All right, next. 10:08, so I have to watch out a bit. So here we are given the slope point. Extract what you know. This right here, right, tells you that the slope is -1 and that the point you're after is, you got to watch out. This gives you your x value. So because it's -2, we're going to go +2. And the y value you're after is also +2. We change the sign, right? So we go plus and plus, right? Make sure you make that note. When you extract points on the slope point, you change the sign. Let's graph it. Now we can graph it. By the way, a -1 is the same thing as a -1/1, okay? That's sometimes it throws students off. It's so easy that they overthink it, right? And there's like -1. What happens? I know that my line is going to go down because I have a negative slope. Okay, so let's go find the 2, 2. 2, 2 is right here. And you have a slope of -1, 1, -1, 1, and so forth, right? 3 points. Connect them, make sure you extend it. Don't stop because then it's a line segment, right? And this is the line y minus 2 is equal to -x minus 2. okay? Now let's rewrite. We're going to branch out, right? We're going to go from here to here. And it's just y minus 2 is equal to, watch what that negative, well, I'm going to write it out here because I want to make sure you don't miss that. This negative distributes, right? So it's y minus 2 is equal to negative x plus 2. Bring the 2, because we want to isolate y, right? That's the ultimate goal for the slope intercept. Bring the 2 over. So it is negative x plus 4. Let's check. Is our y-intercept plus 4 in the graph? Absolutely, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. It's right there. Right? So it checks out. It should all jive, as people say, right? It should all jive. General form, it's up to you. Do you want to take this one and rewrite it? Or do you want to take this one and rewrite it? It's up to you. I'm going to take this one, folks. I'm going to take this one and go straight over to there. So I hope this doesn't, I will do this. I'll go here and then up and over. This is my way of doing it, not your way. You might have a different way. You're like, no, Mr. Erickson, I want to rewrite the slope point form to general. That's just how I like to do things. Go for it. Okay, y is equal to negative x plus 4. The x comes over to this side, positive. That's exactly how we want it, so easy there. The y is already there. The 4 comes over subtracting, and you're done. That's why I picked it, because I saw how easy it would just be things moving over. And there we go. We graphed it. We went from one form to the other. Easy peasy, right? Well, I shouldn't say easy, but it is doable, okay, if you just practice. All right, one more, and then I've done all 3 types, right? I started with slope intercept, then slope point, and now I'm going to start with this, the general form. And I'm going to give you a shortcut here again. I'm going to use the shortcut for slope. The slope is negative a over b. So what's a? It's 2, so make it negative 2 over whatever b is, it's 3. So that's my slope. I expect the line to drop. Here's another shortcut that I didn't tell you about, but the y-intercept is actually I should be careful here because this is not in general form. I forgot to change this. Can we do something to this? Is not general form. This is standard form. Standard. This is standard. So let's go general. 2x. So whoever did this didn't finish their work, right? Negative 9 comes over positive is equal to 0. This is general. Okay? So we're going to go general to standard. Standard to general. That's what you're supposed to have had here in this one. So I need to change that. Otherwise, it will keep on happening. Y-intercept, if it is in general form, is equal to negative c. So it's basically whatever c is, so it's negative 9. Watch the double negative, right? If c had been negative up here, when you plug it in to c, you get the double negative. So you got to watch out for it. So you can actually graph right from the general form. If you just extract your slope, you extract your y-intercept, 0, negative 9 is like way down here, right? So that's a bit of a problem. So I don't know how else to graph it. In this case, we could have, because even if we write it into slope intercept, it will still be a very small value, right? A large in the negative, so that's a problem. What else can I do? I could write it into slope point, but that's normally not required of you going from here to slope point. We could come up with more points. How's that? This line is going down. So let's pretend that 0, -9 is here, right? Let's come up with some points that are higher up because 0, -9 is here. So we know the line is going like this through -9. So we're going to kind of go up the staircase backwards, which might still not work, but hey, then we at least know I need to hurry here. So that would be, if you go up, instead of -2, you're going to go +2, and you're going to go -3, right? So that would be -3 here, and this is -7. So I'm doing the opposite of what the slope is doing here. So I'm going to go +2, which is -5, and -6. -6, -5, that's as close as I get it to the grid. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's -6, and -5 is down here. So it's still not going to, this is a terrible example. I don't know why I have it here. But it's going to, the graph is going to go somewhere here. You can't graph it on this little graph. Okay? Can't graph. Grid too small. But you could have graphed it if the grid was decent, right? So you could do it in one of those that I gave you. So my bad, I have to fix that. What I would say is, for homework, finish this page and the next page. So homework, you do this page and the back page. Yep, and the review. Chapter 6 test review. If you want to start going at it, if this makes sense to you, if you know how to do these things that I'm just talking about here, then go straight to the test review. Key will be posted, okay? Absolutely.